So, some of you have probably had the opportunity to try out close readings in other English courses or even in high school. But in case you haven't done it recently, here's a chance to practice. I'm going to warn you now, there's a twist to this assignment, and we'll get to that at the end. You're going to choose two poems that we've read for this week, and you're going to write one paragraph about each poem. In your paragraphs, you'll look at one line or one sentence from the poem, and you'll develop your interpretation by discussing specific words and their meanings. Just to be clear, this assignment is 2 paragraphs long. One paragraph about one poem, another paragraph about another poem, and you don't need to make a connection between these 2 paragraphs. Just do the same exercise and do it twice. Now, there are certainly many ways to perform a close reading, but in this first assignment, I'm going to lay out a structure that I'd like you to follow. In sentence 1, make a bold statement about the text. This should be specific to the text you're working on. So here's a test. If you can swap in a different text and the sentence still works, then it's not specific enough. Avoid big general statements like, since the beginning of time, man has always loved a good poem. You can say that about just about any poem. Sentence 2, begin this sentence with yet, but, or although. So in this sentence, you're going to introduce something specific about the text that you want to examine through your close reading. In sentence 3, you're going to present for your reader the line or phrase or sentence that you're going to close read. So you should start this sentence by introducing the quote, then quoting it, and then finishing the sentence. So in sentence 4, you're going to tell us what key words we should be looking at. Re-quote the key words and point to them more specifically so that your reader can follow along and focus their attention and follow your meaning. In sentence 5, tell us which reading you think is correct. What are the best interpretations of the words you've pointed out? Tell us why you think your interpretation is correct. In sentence 6, tell your readers what they stand to gain by reconsidering the words you've chosen to examine. How does the text change? What's surprising or interesting about what you've noticed in these words? There are several potential pitfalls in close reading, and here are 4 that I'd like you to avoid. First, avoid overly general statements. This piece of writing is not for a plaque in a museum, so big sweeping generalizations about all mankind or all poets or all of Britain, those are all out of place. Close reading is about finding meaning in something as small as a word. So do everything you can to avoid the tendency to begin your paragraph with a big wind-up sentence. Just skip it and jump right in. Next, you'll want to avoid evaluative statements. This isn't a review, so we don't need an evaluation of the text. We don't need a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Beware of vague language. So when you're trying to point out why a word or a line is interesting, it's pretty easy to fall into the trap of saying, this word is so interesting. But if you think about it, that statement doesn't have a whole lot of meaning. Interesting is a vague word, so is closer, as in if we look closer at this word, we'll see what the poet's arguing. Are we literally supposed to move closer to the page? The solution to this kind of problem is to avoid talking about what you're going to say. Just say it. Finally, when you're trying to describe to your reader what you want them to see in a poem, there's a tendency to use the mysterious one instead of the first person I. We have been in high school so conditioned away from using the first person that we are now gun shy. Let me be more direct about this. I was conditioned away in high school from using the first person, and I was told that it was too informal. That was all a lie. Pick up any editorial column in a newspaper, any academic essay published in a journal, any piece of writing in which the author is espousing their view, and you'd be hard-pressed to find a complete lack of the first person. Most essays use it. Though the best essays use it carefully and sparingly. So avoid the mysterious one, as in one might argue or one can see. Who is this one? I'd like to meet him. So I promised that for this close reading, I would throw in a twist, and here it is. For this assignment, you're going to perform a close reading using the Oxford English Dictionary. We call it the OED. This is available via the Penn Library website. The OED is one of a scholar's best tools, and it's the only dictionary that I think is acceptable to cite in a piece of formal writing. To get to the OED from the library's homepage, visit www.library.upenn.edu. Type OED into the search bar on the front page. You may need your pen key to gain access. Use the OED to look up definitions of the words that are most interesting to you. Use the OED to learn the possible meanings of those words. And then use those definitions in your paragraphs and be sure to cite the OED. When you've completed your assignment, submit it through the digital Dropbox on the course website.